Greetings my saplings. In today's video we are going to be discussing the Yeezy 350 V2 Sesame. Specifically, we will be going over some release info for the shoe and not really much background information. Then we'll be discussing how to cop the sneakers, of course, and then finally, for those of you interested, some resale predictions. So, the Yeezy 350 V2 Sesame drops November 23rd, aka Black Friday. Just like the previous Black Friday Yeezys, the red stripe, the brown stripe, and the green stripe, these will be dropping for $220 as well, just like all Yeezy V2s. Regarding this specific colorway, it is very reminiscent of the Oxford Tan V1s, hence a lot of people are a huge fan of this type of earthy tone vibe. The entire upper is encompassed by that tan, and then on the bottom of the outsole, we have a brownish look, and of course, like on all Yeezy 350 V2s, we see that it also comes up on the heel. But with the release info out of the way, why don't we jump into how to cop these? Let's talk about how you guys can cop your own pair of Yeezy 350 V2 Sesames. So right now, let's start off on how you guys can get a head start on copying these right now as we speak. So kicking it off, reservations via the Foot apps are now up via Foot Locker, Foot Action, and Champs. To get that extra minute head start, all you guys really have to do is follow FTL codes. It's so easy. You don't even have to go to the malls itself with the stores. All you got to do is make sure you're following them. Make sure you change your zip code to whatever the tweet says, then enter the PIN number. They have all the instructions listed on their Twitter. Of course, if you happen to be at the mall, you don't have to do this, but I understand a lot of you guys don't have a lot of time to go to the mall during the week, and this is just to save you a little bit of time. But in addition to the Foot apps, I also made a full raffle list for you guys on my Twitter. My Twitter is KeithAdam10, and I purposely left out a lot of the raffles. For instance, one of the ones I left out was End Clothing, and the reason I left out that one and a lot of them was because they were retailing for around $285, which was absolutely absurd in my opinion. I left a lot of them in there that had retails of €220, which is about $250, and I'll mention why I still think it's okay to go for those as we edge to the resale predictions part of this video. But for right now, let's continue with the how to cop. So then moving on to the actual release date itself, the first release you're actually going to be seeing will be the overseas retailer. Funny enough, there's actually one releasing at 2 a.m. Eastern time. It's very odd because I don't usually see that they release at this time, but it will be a like store. And then moving on to 3 a.m. Eastern time, we obviously have the majority of our drops. For instance, the Hip Store, and then Foot Patrol and Soulbox will be doing their queues, of course. I would really recommend these drops for only Europe citizens, not because you have to get up at 3 a.m. Eastern time, but more specifically because there are better opportunities for US citizens where you guys only have to pay $220 in comparison to €220. So with that, let's move on. For instance, Yeezy Supply has been doing their random drops as they used to in the past. We recently experienced some 9 a.m. Eastern time drops, but for the most part, it's been random drops at around 4 a.m. Eastern time, sometimes 3 a.m. Eastern time to 6 a.m. Eastern time. So if you are looking to cop from Yeezy Supply, you're gonna have to be up early because they do random drops. And you also do have to keep in mind that they do charge that extra $20 for shipping. Not only that, but they also take forever to ship the majority of orders. I know a lot of you guys get your orders in hand pretty soon, but for the most part, at least for myself, it usually takes at least 2 weeks for them to ship out to me. But yeah, that's another option. Of course, I want to give you guys every single option possible. But moving on to 10 a.m. Eastern time, there are a ton of drops occurring at 10 a.m. Eastern time with US shipping. For instance, the Foot sites such as Foot Locker, Foot Action, Champs, and Eastbay, those will all be dropping online. Now the trick with these is you just have to spam the add to cart button. Occasionally you're going to get a lot of errors, but eventually you will be able to add them to cart, and you might get some errors when trying to check out and process your payment. But if you just keep on being persistent with it, eventually you will get that order confirmation email, even if you don't see the confirmation page. That's exactly what happened to me on the Jordan 1 Rookie of the Year release. I had no idea I copped them because I was still trying to check them out, and all of a sudden, I receive a confirmation email. So guys, if you're interested in copying these Yeezys, definitely try the Foot sites, and also Finish Line at 10 a.m. Eastern time will be doing some sort of a queue, so you could feel free to leave that running in the background. The main thing I wanted to mention though is if you're looking for those common sizes, and I'm not talking about sizes like 4.5, 5.5, and 6.5. We'll talk about that when we get to the resale predictions. Say you just need a size 10 or a 9, 11, 12, 13, whatever size it is. Honestly, East Bay might be your best bet at 10 a.m. Eastern time, specifically because off of the Yeezy Zebra release, which was on the 16th for US, it was extremely easy to check out on those. But now, of course, the best of the best when it comes to all of these releases, of course, will be Adidas.com. And the reason Adidas.com is the best in my opinion, and I mentioned this in my Zebra How to Cop video, is because one, they have free shipping, then fast shipping, free returns, it's the easiest manual cop in my opinion, and also they load size 16. And if you're wondering, no, they don't load up any other sizes above 14. 16 is the only one, and we'll jump into why that's really important as we get closer to the resale predictions. But anyway, the times for these drops, I will be listing them in Eastern time. Keep in mind, so whatever time zone you're in, I want to keep this consistent. Feel free to just go on timeconverter.com and just type that in. It's very simple. So for Europe, it will be 4 a.m. Eastern time. Canada will be 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. United States will be 10 a.m. Eastern time, and Australia will actually be the day before at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. So again, make sure you're using a time converter because obviously not all of you guys are on Eastern time. Even in the United States, a lot of you guys are on Pacific time. But another thing I wanted to mention is keep in mind the splash page does tend to go up about 20 minutes before each of these releases, but stock doesn't actually go live until after that. Now, I always suggest setting up your Chrome users and making sure you're all good once the splash page goes live. So as soon as stock is loaded, you'll have your best chance of copying. And that, of course, brings me to my next point, the thing that I mentioned every single Yeezy How to Cop guide. Hopefully, you guys know by now, at least the people who've been subscribed for a while. For the new guys, if you don't know what the multiple people jig is, essentially, you just make a bunch of different Chrome users. Adidas.com tracks your cookies, not your IP address. You will never get banned. But don't try opening up a bunch of tabs. It's all by making Chrome users. If you're really confused on what I'm saying, check out this video right here. It is unbelievably easy to cop Yeezys when you use this method. And to increase your chances if you feel like you're not going to cop, the only trick is making more Chrome users. It's been that simple for the longest time. I'm not going to explain it in this video just because I feel like a lot of you guys already know what you're doing and I don't want to waste your time, but I did want to take this time to answer some frequently asked questions for Adidas.com. No matter what country you're in, these do relate to you. So for instance, one of them would include, do I have to be signed in on all of my Chrome users? No, you don't have to be signed in on all of your Chrome users. In fact, you shouldn't be signed into any of your Chrome users. However, when you're checking out, when they ask you for your email, make sure you use your email for your Adidas account. The reason I say this is because the more money you spend on that Adidas account, for the new Adidas app, it's almost like a pay-to-win system. A lot of times you'll get early access for products if you reach a certain level. I would never recommend going out of your way to spend money for the Adidas app, but if you're already going to be buying these Yeezys, make sure you use the email address because I've already reached the highest level possible and I didn't have to go out of my way to spend any money. Anyway, moving on to the next frequently asked question. This is something I get asked in the stream a lot. For multiple orders, if you're looking to buy more than one pair, do I have to change any info? No. Luckily, you don't have to change any info at all. They will ship multiple orders to the same address, the same name, the same phone number. You don't have to jig anything. Don't worry about it. The only thing is occasionally, and this is only occasionally, they won't let you use the same card or PayPal twice. For that reason, just make sure you have a second, third, fourth, or even fifth PayPal or credit card ready. And if you guys don't have a second credit card, I would definitely recommend checking out privacy.com if you haven't. Moving on to the last question. This is probably the one I get asked the most, and it makes sense. It's something fair for a lot of you beginners out there. Do you have to manually refresh every single Chrome user? AKA, do I have to refresh the splash page on every single person I have? No, luckily you don't have to keep refreshing it all throughout the release. It automatically does that for you. However, when the splash page goes live, you have to refresh each individual one once, just so it goes from the page where it's just nothing, the release page, into the splash page. So basically, you just refresh everything once and you're good to go for the rest of the release. Also, for those of you who are wondering, yes, I will be streaming this release if I am available. Hopefully I am, just because I love live copying with you guys. But anyway, with that, moving on to some resale predictions. For personal pairs, the first thing I wanted to mention is don't sleep on them. I am expecting these to sell out, but you might notice that for Foot Lockers, Champs, foot actions, a lot of in-store releases, they might have a lot of leftover pairs. And for this reason, the first thing I wanted to mention is if you don't have a lot of high tax in your location and you're seeing that they're profitable the day of the release, the time when Yeezys peak is right after they sell out online, that whole day. So at Saturday to sometimes even Sunday, prices are going to be really high. And since it is a Friday, Black Friday, people have until 6 p.m. local time to pick up their pairs. After that, leftover pairs are up for grabs. Now, granted, it's really only going to be common sizes. So, you know, sizes 10, 8, 8.5, 9.5, 10.5. You guys get the gist of it. I still think if you get these pairs in hand and sell on Saturday or Sunday after they sell out online, I really do think you're going to be able to make around $20 to $40 per pair, obviously depending on how much tax is in your location. And so for some of you guys, that's not going to be worth it, but for some of you guys, you might be willing to put in that extra work of just boxing them up, or maybe even just dropping them off at a local consignment store. It's really just free money is what I'm trying to say. So if you see an opportunity like that, and if you don't have anything to do, obviously maybe you don't want to go out of your way, feel free to just go for those leftover pairs after 6 p.m. local time. But when it comes to the online releases, I know that's what most of you are wondering about. Once pairs go into circulation, those common sizes might not even be $20 to $40 profitable because they will drop a decent bit. But sizes 4.5, 5.5, and 6.5, and even 12.5 when it comes to 350 V2s are definitely going to be profitable. It's not going to be anything too significant. Obviously, Yeezys aren't as hyped as they used to be, specifically because of the high stock. But you still might be able to make around $50 or so, which honestly, I think that's a pretty good profit margin considering it's a retail of $220. So I would recommend going for those specific sizes, and even if you don't get those sizes, sizes 4, 5, 6, and 14 aren't bad as well. Now, the big one, the best one out of everything is absolutely going to be size 16. So obviously, if you get in the waiting room for Adidas.com super early, snag that size 16. That is going to give you a ton of profit. But again, like I mentioned, for the rest of the common sizes, you're really just making small money off that. Like I like to call it lunch money or gas money, because it is money, guys. And honestly, I say if you're not doing anything, if you have money to burn, I'd say it's a worth it investment. But for some of you guys, I completely understand. You don't want to waste your time, and that's cool. For you guys, just stick to sizes 4.5, 5.5, and 6.5 for around $50 or so. But with that, I'm going to conclude today's video. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, if you perhaps learned a thing or two. Also, subscribe and turn on post notifications to stay 100% updated on really any hyped shoe in the future. With that though, have a fantastic rest of your day, guys. Good luck on this release, and I'll see you guys later.